A long time ago, there was a fat, scary woman named Mama P, as she's formerly called by her customers, because she sold the best meat soup. Her food were always fresh and the best in the market. Every market day, she will arrive with her large cooking pots. She never spoke to anyone not too long. The villagers gathered around her, and soon her foods were sold out in the twinkle of an eye. As soon as she sold all her cheap foods to the market people, she would walk away with her empty pots quietly. The villagers also wondered how the fat woman managed to cook and sell such sweet soup at a very cheap price that even the beggars could afford. Her food and be filled up. Most of our meats were too large that one could preserve them till the next day at a minimum price. Majority of the food sellers grew envious of her. I wonder how she gets profits from her cooking. This is crazy the way. Things are cost to his cut, and it seems she doesn't live in this country. See, has her food con cheap, she has already collect all of our customers, a woman answered in his Komu voice each time. Sunday. There were always missing child incidents in the neighborhood or market, but the majority of missing children were abducted there by only God knows. Since love is always displayed among the people in that village, it was impossible to determine who the culprit might be or what the true intentions of the person were. None of this bothered Mama much because she rarely spoke to people other than when her customers came to buy cheap food. She has an ostracism expression on her face, more like, "Don't mess with me," and kept to herself all the time, avoiding contact with other women. When they start playing football and their ball accidentally hits her pot of soup, Mama usually flattens their balls with a knife, which makes the kids cry in the market and tell their parents that the kids from the villagers never dare. This is why kids find maps scary and weird. Play with her, especially when she was cooking or in the marketplace. Meanwhile, a certain girl named Bola, who saw how grumpy and cruel M was and how people continued to support her despite her mistreatment of the villagers, decided to follow her. One evening, when Mama P finished her day's sales as usual, she locked her shop, took her port, and began walking towards the forest, where the village elders had already warned their children against the forbidden forest. There were many terrifying stories about the evil forest, one of which claimed that the evil spirits of their villagers met there, among other terrifying scenarios that were beyond explanation. Bola waited as Mama P entered the woodland, wondering why she was going to the forbidden woodland, as she should have known how wicked it was. Bola's frantic mind was racing with unfavorable ideas as she followed Mama in stealth while attempting to escape. Being caught even as she tiptoed behind her, her mind was racing with questions that Mama couldn't answer if she could ask her face to face. Mama continued to walk more quickly, and Bola, who was following her, also walked more quickly, to avoid missing her. Most importantly, though, was to avoid being caught. When she opened her mouth, she couldn't believe what she saw. 5 women in black, ghostly clothing gathered around a large Iyoko tree, waiting for Mama P, who was still carrying the large pot she used to cook for her clients. A large roko tree, interrupted Bola's train of thought as she heard one of the women say, "The more we kill more children, the more we share." Bola swiftly hid herself behind the mango tree and watched as the women exchanged greetings and talked about how they would divide the money Mama had made from the food business and how to kidnap more children in the community. More money, because they were the ones chopping the meat for Mama P to sell to the customers. When Bola opened her mouth in awe, she noticed that each branch of the Iroko tree had the missing children's familiar clothing hanging on it. The women's conversation was interrupted by a dried leaf. When Bola walked on her by accident, she instantly recognized that Z was staring at her. Mama P was filming while holding her big cooking pot, and Ba watched as all the women stared at her, interrupting their conversation out of fear of being noticed and being a victim. Bola took 2 slow steps backward and took her heels, tracing her steps back away from the forest as quickly as her legs would allow. She ran with full tempo until she reached the village square, still panting and sweating, her face showing that she had witnessed something unusual. She told the village king everything that had happened, but why would a poor orphan like you follow her to the forest? You know the consequences for your actions. What if you got